Welcome everyone. Most probably you have seen a lot of stories from young guys who became seniors at their 20, 21. And today I'm gonna share my personal story about this and why it is wrong and weird actually. So let's jump to the backstory. I started my career at 18 by joining some kickout bootcamp, after which I straight away got the junior/trainee position in this company. The project and the team was very great. I had a lot of very strong engineers, and tech lead was driving my personal development a lot by suggesting materials and especially books. And during this year, I was pretty much learning 24/7, following the path that he suggested me to follow. And after 1 year, I felt a bit more confidence and I started interviewing again. Let me explain you a bit what was the interview process back then. So in Ukraine, there were not that many product companies. Most companies were doing outsourcing stuff, so just getting customers outside from Europe, USA, get some pretty cheap engineers, and this is how the business worked back then. And after, I don't know, maybe second interview, I started noting down the questions and basically grinding the answers for these questions and memorizing them, which is quite easy process to be honest. Usually the questions cover different topics like databases, storages, transactions, internals of .NET and stuff like that. For example, tell me the difference between SOAP and REST architectural style, how GC works internally, how many generations it has, how async await works, what is the difference between delete and truncate in SQL, and this kind of questions. So you basically can go Google it, learn it, memorize, and then you know this question, you can answer it like 100% in the next interviews. As I mentioned before, my tech lead suggests me a bunch of books, so these books were quite useful in covering different areas of the questions. For example, Clean Architecture by Uncle Bob covered pretty much all solid related questions, questions about code style, how to design architecture of your application, and these kind of things. Then, since my main was .NET, CLR via C# by Richter was the top one book for me, as it explains .NET from the very deep internal perspective. And then you can answer all of the questions about how different stuff works in .NET internally, what is the performance, and blah, blah, blah. And the last one was Designing Data-Intensive Applications, the book that I'm suggesting always to everyone because this is one of the greatest books. This book covered all the internals of storages, databases, system architecture, and all of these questions. Also, usually there was kind of meta back then to use Agile/Scrum, so I got a bunch of SDLC questions as well, which you can basically Google. It's pretty simple as well. So after a year of such preparation, a couple of initial interviews, I started feeling even more confidence, and I tried to join another outsourced company in my town, which was called Alex, and I passed the interview for the middle engineer. Small reminder, my overall experience back then was 1 year and a couple of months. Anyway, I passed there and I was working there for 1 year as well. And for sure, during this period, I kept learning, kept studying. And after 1 year, I decided, well, okay, I feel like if I can do middle, why I can't do senior same way? It was autumn 2020. I saw that EPAM Systems, one of the biggest outsourced companies in Ukraine back then, they had hiring event and I for sure applied. I applied for the middle/strong middle position and I got scheduled my first interview. The interview process on this hiring event was pretty similar to other interviews, just knowledge check, 2.5 hours of knowledge check from different areas. However, I have to say that they actually gave me one of the problem to solve. It wasn't a lead code type of problem, but it still was kind of coding problem. So I had one method. This method calls another service, and this service can throw exceptions. So my task was to implement kind of retry strategy when the method would try to call this service 3 times, and on first failure, it should throw custom exception up to the call stack. After this interview, like in a couple of days, I got offer and I was very surprised because offer stated that it is senior position offer. It was very interesting feeling that like in 2 years I'm already senior and what is next? I never thought I can reach this level in quite a few years, right? Then I got a couple of internal interviews to get to specific projects because once you join the outsourced company, then you like kind of company is looking for a project for you. So I got two similar interviews, but they were a bit simplified, and I got to one of the project which is related to oil domain. I was a backend engineer there. It was very funny when I recall, because once it was a meeting when customer meets the team, right? And my manager was introducing me and one another front-end guy. Like, this is Yaroslav, our front-end lead engineer, and this is Andriy, our backend lead engineer. And I was, it was very funny and sarcastic, because by that time I was sitting in my chair in the dorm with the cockroaches, and yeah, it was quite interesting experience to me. So around next 1.5 years, I was doing good in the EPAM. I completed one project, then they moved me to another project, and I thought, okay, what is the next goal? And my next goal was for sure to try some big tech company and see how I will be doing there, right? And this is the time when reality check came into the game, because straight away I failed Amazon interview. However, I was preparing for that like months or so, doing lead code questions, system design, because it like big tech has quite different approach to the interview. After failing Amazon, I tried Microsoft, and at Microsoft I kind of succeeded, but in a way that I was still not satisfied, because I thought back then that, yeah, I had title of senior, no one fired me in 1.5 years. It means I'm doing good, it's okay, right? But actually, after passing interview at Microsoft, I got 60 level, which is junior 2, if we translated it to word levels. And it was a bit frustrating, but this actually helped me to understand that these senior titles at 2021, they are not actually a big deal, because at EPAM I've seen a lot of seniors like me. They were pretty young, like 20, 21, 22 years old guys who are like seniors, tech leads, and I was, well, okay, it's kind of seems like this is the way, right? But then at Microsoft, when I saw seniors here, I was a bit shocked, because it is a very big skill gap. I would say seniors here can do responsibilities of architects at EPAM, and seniors from EPAM, at least from my experience, maximum can get maybe middle position at some big tech company. Yeah, overall that was the goal of the video, is to share that senior title has different requirements depending on the company, and mostly outsourced companies have quite lower requirement for their levels, to be honest. I guess there are many reasons for that, and first they have straight incentive for that, because the higher level you have, the more money they will get from the customer who will be paying for you, right? So it is more beneficial for them to consider and agree that you are senior and then sell you 1,000 more than you actually are. On top of that, I would say that back then, at least, the interview process in Ukraine companies was very weird. It was kind of meta back then to ask these knowledge-based questions. No one ever asked me system design. No one ever asked me any lead code kind of problems. It was just checking your knowledge, how you know this tool or this framework or this language or these kind of things. Which does not actually show your level quite fully, because you can basically memorize it as I did, right? Okay, that was me. Thank you for joining me, and please share your thoughts about this in the comment section. Also, don't forget to subscribe on my social media. We are doing polling about the next topic we're gonna discuss, and we are streaming weekly in YouTube doing lead code and system design, talking about Big Corpo, Microsoft, things like that. It was me, Andriy. See you.